I was actually watching that fight thinking I wouldn't be surprised if he retired and actually didn't fight Crawford, because I don't think he'll want to lose to Crawford, a much smaller guy, just because he's at the end of the...
Canelo retiring? Eddie Hearn just dropped a bombshell that's got the whole boxing world spinning, and if what he's saying is true, the mega fight with Terence Crawford, it's never happening. Out of nowhere, Hearn hit fans with the cold truth. Canelo's ready to hang up his gloves. He might not have any fights left in him, and Crawford ain't even on the list. No negotiations, no calls, not even interest. And just like that, the dream matchup everyone's been begging for might be dead in the water.
I'll be honest, I'd be very surprised if that fight happens. I think His Excellency has been pushing that fight. It didn't seem like it was something that Canelo was really up for, to be honest. And like, when I've spoken to Canelo before about that fight, I think he's kind of feeling is, when I beat Crawford, everyone's going to say I've beaten a 154 pounder. Like, and he also, I think at his age as well, I don't think he wants to be fighting guys that are just moving all the time, and he wants people that come to fight. And Crawford can't really come to fight like that in that fight because he's at a massive size disadvantage and he can't be standing in front of him. I don't think that fight will happen, but then when you think about it, like what are the options for Canelo Alvarez?
Benavides.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen either. He's put his flag in the sand, hasn't he? 150 million. I know he takes less, but I just don't see that. He's now up at 175, Benavides. I don't see him coming back to 68.
It gets worse. Insiders say Canelo's been privately hinting at walking away from the sport after his next big payday. The back-to-back fights, the brutal weight cuts, the constant pressure, he's tired. And apparently, he's done giving fans the fights they want. He's only chasing what he wants now. So what does this mean for Terence Crawford? Why is Eddie throwing cold water on the biggest fight in boxing? Is Canelo really ducking? Or is this just smart business? Let's break it down. For years, Canelo Alvarez was that guy fighting 3 times a year, chasing greatness in multiple divisions, and becoming the undisputed face of modern boxing. But lately, something shifted. After beating William Skull in a one-sided, low-risk fight, Canelo's career seems to have entered cruise control. And now, with zero interest in a Terence Crawford mega fight, fans are asking, is Canelo retiring soon?
If it isn't Canelo next year, are you done from the sport, Terence?
I wouldn't say that. Right now, I'm just weighing out my options and looking for the best opportunities and options for Terence Crawford in my career. Everybody got answers that need to be answered, and the only way they can be answered is if me and Canelo is in the ring and we fight. So if that fight does happen, then everybody answers that and questions and do's and don'ts will be.
Eddie Hearn, the man who helped guide Canelo through multiple Dan's End blockbusters, just dropped a bombshell, not by announcing a retirement, but by admitting that the Crawford fight, it's dead. And maybe it was never close to real in the first place. In a recent interview, Hearn opened up on a bunch of fights, Shakur, Berlanga, Teofimo, but when the topic of Canelo came up, his honesty was brutal. We got to a stage, I think we did 7 or 8 fights with Canelo, and then we ran out of options. He said, "What do you got for me?" I said, "Bivol rematch, that's it." Let's be clear, this is Eddie Hearn, Canelo's biggest international promoter, admitting the only fight left was the one Canelo refuses to take.
I don't think it's a fight Canelo really wants, if I'm honest, because I think he feels like he won't get a lot of credit beating a light middleweight. And Crawford's going to move a lot in that fight, which is not ideal for Canelo. But what's his options? I mean, if Bivol wins, he could fight him for undisputed. That's a very tough fight. What's the other options? Benavides is up at 175. Obviously, His Excellency wants to make that fight. So I guess we could see it next.
So no Crawford, no Benavides, no better BF. Just a rematch with the guy who already embarrassed him. And what did Canelo do? He dipped. Straight to PBC, no bad blood, no beef, but that's where the silence speaks volumes. Now let's address the elephant in the ring, Terence Bud Crawford. This was supposed to be the legacy-defining fight. The best at 147 versus the undisputed king of 168. Pound-for-pound greatness versus pound-for-pound power. But according to Eddie, it was never real. No talks, no timelines. just a bunch of rumors and fans begging on Twitter. And now, Crawford's moving on. He's been linked to Jermell Charlo, even talks of jumping up to 160 to chase other belts.
Bud Crawford, just won his debut at 154. Said if the money's right, we'll fight. Everybody wants that fight. What do you feel about that matchup? People saying the weight, all this stuff. How do you feel about that?
You know, everybody wants to fight me. Everybody calling me out and everything. And, you know, like I say, I have nothing to win with Crawford. 2-3 weights class less than me. But if the money is right, why not? Right? Why not? But look, I'm focused 100% on Berlanga. I know I have a challenge in front. I never overlook any fighter. So I'm focused 100% in this, and then we'll see.
But the dream match with Canelo? Dead. And here's what makes this even worse. Crawford wanted that fight. He was begging for it. But Canelo gave a skull and then ghosted.
When you say, I want Canelo, is there anybody in the camp that would say, you're not ready for this?
That's a big boy. He's strong. That's a conversation. It's not just, oh, man, you'll whoop his ass.
Like yes, man type stuff.
I'm not worried about Canelo. I'm not thinking about Canelo. I'm just focused on Israel Majimov.
In a small way, is this a stepping stone to your dream fight?
I don't look at fights as stepping stones. It's about now.
So now fans are stuck asking, did Canelo just duck Bud? Or is this all part of a slow, silent retirement? Let's be real. Canelo's not scared of anyone, but he is strategic. And at this point in his career, legacy might be taking a backseat to control.
How is Crawford going to be able to bridge this weight gap?
Well, I don't think he can, in all honesty. I mean, he might not be able to bridge it on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
one weight class.
68, yeah, but you're coming up from 35. 35, 40, 47, 54. Sooner or later, it's one too many. And 68 is definitely too many. But Crawford's brilliant. Like he's a genius. He's a generational great. So maybe he can find a way to do it. But I feel he'd be hugely outsized against Canelo Alvarez. Yeah. But you have to use your movement. If you're Terence Crawford in that fight, the last thing you want to do is stand and trade. He'd be moving a lot in that fight, trust me. I'm not saying he'd be running, but he would be moving a lot. Of course, that's the way to beat him.
Yeah.
You know.
Think about it. He's 34 years old. He's made hundreds of millions. He's undisputed at super middleweight, and he doesn't have to take risks anymore. Fighting Crawford means putting all of that on the line. One bad night, and suddenly, the legend gets dented. And let's not forget, he already lost to a smaller guy in Bivol.
It's the self-belief. Like Crawford, I can't tell you how much belief Crawford has. I spent the weekend with him out there, we was on the plane together. He has no doubt in his mind that he beats Canelo, and he does it easy, right? And Shakur has so much self-belief, zero doubt. And it's not like a complacency either. It's just like, I know exactly what they're going to do, and I know exactly what I'm going to do, and they can't beat me.
Eddie Hearn even admitted that when they pitched the Bivol rematch, Canelo said, nah. So what does that tell you? If he won't run it back with Bivol, who already beat him, and he won't take a fresh challenge from Crawford, then yeah, retirement might be closer than anyone thought.
What is it you want your legacy to be after that last match?
One of the best in the history of boxing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna cry that day.
That day?
Yeah, a lot.
Why?
Because I'm gonna miss boxing so
You'll miss
much.
it. Yeah.
That moment when you walk into the ring and hear all the people screaming and the singing that song you put and everything, I'm gonna miss that moment. But
Here's the twist. Eddie Hearn also hinted that the game has completely changed. Why? Because of the Saudis. Just like with Fury Usyk and now Teofimo versus Boots, the money and control are coming from Riyadh. Eddie basically said, if they've got the bag, the fights happen. If they don't, everything slows down. We got to understand that boxing is going through a growth period in other territories, and we got to allow that growth to happen. So maybe this isn't just about Canelo ducking. Maybe the Saudis never wanted Crawford versus Canelo. Maybe the real reason the fight never got made is because the politics, the networks, and the global power shift are now calling the shots.
Are we going to see Terence Crawford versus Canelo?
As I tell before to the ESPN, I give him the offer. If he's smart, he will accept it.
So just so we're clear to everyone understands you've already sent an offer to Canelo to fight Terence Crawford if Terence Crawford wins tonight.
But if he doesn't, I want Ortiz.
You want Ortiz? Virgil Ortiz versus Terence Crawford.
Yeah. If they accept, we want to see this fight, and I want to see Shakur Zubaydah.
Shakur Stevenson is here as well.
He accept. De La Hoya accept. Eddie accept. Let's do it.
Let's do the big fights. You've done so many big fights.
Canelo was always the boss, but now he might be getting boxed out of the business he once ruled.
Terence Crawford, his name keeps coming up, and I know he's a lot smaller than you. Is that a fight that you would ever consider under any circumstance?
You know, I always say if the fight make sense, why not? But he's not in the plan.
He's not in the plan?
No.
Okay. Is there a specific reason for it? Is it because of his size, or it won't do anything for you in terms of pushing you toward your goals?
You know, like I say, if it makes sense, maybe. I don't know right now. I just gonna enjoy this fight. And
Plus, let's not forget another major reason this fight has always been complicated and why Canelo keeps swerving it is the huge weight difference. Like, we're not talking a few pounds here. Crawford is a natural welterweight who's been dominating at 147, only recently moving up to 154. Meanwhile, Canelo's been chilling at 168 and even gone as high as 175. That's a 20 to 30 pound gap between where each guy is most comfortable, and in boxing, that's not just size. That's power, durability, and risk.
I've been in the ring with Crawford too.
Oh shit! I didn't know you sparred.
I got Crawford ready for when he fought Sean Porter.
Okay.
I was with him for a few weeks. What do I think of that fight?
Yeah.
I think that everybody knows that Crawford got the skills. I do think that Canelo's a little big. He's a little big for Crawford, and it'll be a tall task for him to win. It'll be a lot you have to. It'll be a lot to get that victory based on size alone. Not that size wins fights, but you got a guy that got size and skills. It'll be hard. I mean, nothing's impossible. But if I had my money on somebody winning the fight, it'll be Canelo Alvarez. Even though Terence Crawford is a great fighter, they're both great fighters. And you got two great fighters in there. But I think one guy got the advantage due to his makeup, his body type, how big of a person he is. And, I think that will be the deciding factor in that fight.
Jumping up 21 pounds, would Crawford have to fight the perfect fight?
Absolutely. Size will play a factor in that fight. It won't. It'll be a lot harder to damage Canelo. Canelo his punches will be way more effective than Crawford's punches if they fight at 168.
Canelo knows it too. He's not trying to drain down and lose his strength, and he sure as hell isn't giving Crawford a chance to come in light, fast, and sharp.
I think Crawford could beat Canelo Alvarez.
I think he's too small. But then again, I thought he was too small for Spence, so shows what I know. So I don't know. I think that's a lot of weight class jumping, but we'll see. It's a good talking point. I don't know that would really happen, listen, we've seen some strange things in boxing, don't get me wrong, especially in the recent years. So I don't say never, but I don't know how seriously that's going to be taken. But I think when you're at a level, when you come off a big win like Crawford just did, anything you say reverberates through the sport.
The matchup sounds good on paper, but in reality, Canelo would have to make major sacrifices, and he's just not willing to do that this late in his career. That's a big reason he's been ducking this fight without ever officially ducking it.
So you said 68, but you mean 54, right?
No, 68.
You want to go up to 68. So who would you fight at 68? Canelo?
If he win, or Charlo, the winner.
Wow. That would be crazy.
I want to be 3-time undisputed.
So your goal was to go up and become undisputed in 3 different weight classes.
There you go.
Wow.
Something that never been done before.
Right.
I always said, man, that's a big step. But for a person to go up 3 weight classes from 147 to 168 and to win and become undisputed, wow. What can they say? They can't say nothing right now, but what can they say? What would they say though? 3-time undisputed champion and and a smaller fighter that went up 3 weight divisions to conquer one of the baddest mans.
Oh, and remember Edgar Berlanga? He was being groomed as the next Canelo opponent. Young Puerto Rican star, KO artist, big personality. But Eddie just spilled the tea. Berlanga's team believed he could sell out a huge arena in Puerto Rico after Canelo. Eddie disagreed. Negotiations broke down, and the relationship got rocky.
It's a great fight, you know. And I'm Team Shiraz now because, you know, Edgar's had a lot to say. A lot of it is, it's not, like, we get on all right, but, like, you know, I think that I really like Hamza Shiraz. I think it's a brilliant fight. I think that Edgar will get a lot of confidence from Canelo. What Hamza said about the Canelo fight, Berlanga done great in the Canelo fight, but I don't think he really pushed himself in the fight as much as he could have done and probably might do now with that confidence. He hits very hard, but Hamza's been really starved at 160. You see the size of him, he's huge. I think it's a fantastic matchup. I think Hamza needs to be very careful in the first 5 or 6 rounds of that fight.
You feel like maybe he should have been.
Why does that matter? Because Canelo was running out of names. Berlanga could have been a ticket seller, but now that bridge is burned.
Like, I'm not being fun. Like, you know, it's not like he's Canelo Alvarez or, you know, and he's a good fighter. Like, you know, he's going to be in a fun fight, and it'll be a tough fight for both on July 12th.
Yeah, you know, I remember hearing Oscar say one time when fighters would leave him and do their own thing, like, hey, you know, it's nothing personal, it's just business. I feel like he learned that, like, over the years, you know, because he himself did that when he left Bob Arum and so many other fighters. Like, have you gone to, like, that point where it's like no hard feelings? I know it's just business, just, hey, you're looking out for you.
Out. I guess it's case by case. You know, you have to understand the business and the work. Like, it's a very tough sport. I think that the problem with a lot of fighters is they get poisoned by people around them. You know, in their ear, oh, this guy, you got to do this and that, and a lot of people that don't know what they're doing or talking about. But you've got to look out for yourself in this sport. And I think that the reality is sometimes you.
So not only is Canelo not fighting Crawford, he's also got beef with potential rising stars in his own weight class. Translation? The chessboard is empty, and the king has no moves left. This might be the most revealing moment of Canelo's entire career. Not a knockout, not a title win, but this silence, this unwillingness to chase challenges. And it's Eddie Hearn, the guy who helped build the Canelo empire, saying it straight. We had nothing left for him. Canelo's not chasing legacy. He's not chasing belts. He's not chasing Crawford. He might just be chasing peace. Or maybe he's slowly fading into retirement with one last payday left.
The country. If I had to travel the world to fight, then so be it.
So what now? For Canelo? Maybe one more fight. A retirement bout. Something in Mexico. Something sentimental. But don't hold your breath for Crawford.
I can't go down anymore. But you know, like he say, you know, when they ask him for the Germonta fight, they don't wanna get credit for that fight. It's the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because everybody's gonna say it's too small, it's too small, it's too small, and then, you know, he need to enjoy his fight. Okay, he deserves it. He deserves it. I like Spence, but you know, I like Spence and all the respect for him and everything. But I knew. I think is the type of fight Terence Crawford is fighter is different. 168, but like I say, like he say, nobody's gonna give me credit for that.
Thank you very much.
For Crawford, the path is wide open. Charlo, Spence, rematch, or even Boots Ennis if he stays at 147. And for fans, this is a reminder. Don't wait on the fantasy matchups. Boxing is wild. And sometimes, the best fight never happens. Canelo versus Crawford is officially cooked. Not because of ducking, not because of fear, but because the game has changed, and so has Canelo. Retirement is in the air, and Eddie Hearn just lit the match. Hit that subscribe button if you're tired of dream fights dying in press conferences. And let me know in the comments, is Canelo done or just done taking risks? I'll catch you in the next video.